Welcome to the BeMore podcast, where we meet and learn from the journeys of successful online creators and educators, how they build massive online academies. Let's hear it from them. Welcome, our dear creators and educators today. Today, we have the Abhishek on the show. He has a decade of experience in stock markets as an investor, as a trader. And not just that, if that weren't enough, he has a massive following of over 5 lakh people on his YouTube channel and many more on his other social media handles presence. And he has inspired a generation of people to be wise with their money. That's a big task. Not just wise with their money, but wise with their life too. When you look at his videos, they're not just about stock market investing. And that is what makes him so good. We have a lot to learn from him today. And so let's get started. Let's it's a privilege to have you, Abhishek. It's a privilege to get to learn from you and share that knowledge with all our creators today. So welcome to the show. And let's begin with getting to know you. Because there's a decade to cover. Let's start in the beginning. Let's start with the early days. What were they like?
First of all, thank you, Deep, for this warm and cordial welcome out over here. Sometimes I feel people place me too high than whatever I've achieved in life. I've achieved very little, and there's a long way to go. But then it feels grateful that we are able to impact a few lives at least, thanks to the era of internet and social media, because of which even this interaction has become possible. Like we both are sitting at our own ease, at our own respective places, at the vicinity of probably our residence, and yet able to continue this conversation. So thanks to internet. So I wouldn't bore your audience by telling a very long story. I'll just keep it short, just like the modern day style, because stylish clothes are just like that, short, simple, and they tend to excite a lot of people. So, so I don't come from a family where people were really interested in the stock markets. Forget about stock markets; they didn't even know what is stock market. So my parents, they both are from the government fraternity, government class people, and now the very first observation or the very first inclination of a lot of people is government, matlab IS officer and all. No, there are different classes in government, and everyone doesn't earn that much. I still remember my father used to earn 1,500 rupees a month. He's a government teacher, so I need to specify that. Yeah.
Wow, he is a teacher. Okay.
Yeah. So somewhere those genes have actually been transferred to me also, that teaching this thing, although I didn't choose the conventional path of going to a school or college and teaching out there, but somehow what we are trying to impart is education also. That's half of what I do. So coming back to that, I wouldn't say that I had a very, so what happens is whenever someone tries to inspire someone, they always try to undermine their past. They forget their privileges, and they always try to show that मेरे जेब में सिर्फ 100 रुपया था, बहुत बर्तन मांजे, ये किया, and then I became successful, because this is what sells into the market. But I wouldn't say that was my pure condition. I was privileged in the sense that a lot of people don't get food for 3 times a day or 2 times a day. A lot of people don't get education. At least I was privileged enough. My parents never compromised on that. And even if I would have said that I want to go to study in Stanford, Harvard, LBS, whose fees actually shoots more than, like, today it's more than a crore. At that point of time also it was close to 50, 60 lakh. They would have somehow managed to get me educated, because that was deep in their mind that our son needs to get educated. Although I took my education very casually till my college days. I would say that I started becoming educated after my formal education got over. That is where I started my educational journey. So wasn't that studious, but since my parents, as I mentioned, from teaching background, so there were certain responsibilities and set of expectations that laid down upon me. So I was into that narrow range of 70, 75, not an exceptional student. And then till I would say my graduation first year, I didn't have slightest of the ideas that I would get into stock markets. But then one of our professors, she actually introduced us in a subject called business studies, which was also there because I'm a commerce grad, so we already had that subject. So she introduced with some terms, and she introduced to a word called Warren Buffett. And little did I know that this is going to change my fate for good. Now that point of time, if you remember, almost, so we are talking more than a decade back. Even when you used to Google a few terms, the first searches were not that relevant. In the sense, you would get a lot of random research results. Today, you can get a lot of those things. In fact, internet was a thing of rich people at that point of time. It was like, okay, if I remember BSNL used to give internet this thing with some, I don't remember the technical term, but that used to cost like 250 or 300 rupees for 100 MB a month or something like that. And that is the time I'm talking
Hmm.
about. Today, 100 MB is nothing. Like while we are speaking, probably we are exhausting 100 MB just like that. But that was the time. So somehow I got to know, and I was really astounded to know that there's someone in this world who is doing something unique, something called stock markets, and making a fortune out of it. And he isn't just lucky because he has been doing it for years, maybe 4 5 decades by that time. So that created some curiosity. And later on, some of my friends, they were actually going to attend a class by someone who was an HSBC fund manager, and he was conducting a capital market class. For those people who don't understand, capital market is something related to stock market only. So it was something related, and the cost at that point of time, I guess, was 1,200 or 1,300 rupees, which would be, I would say, was fairly adjustable. In today's time, the same thing would cost 20,000, 25,000 just to build up a
Hmm.
placement. So,
Hmm.
but as I mentioned, that my parents wouldn't be reluctant to do that. So that was a 30-day session. I went for 3 days, booked up, and now I wanted that a paisa banega, and let's just go and open a demat account because it was going very slow. They were talking about what
Hmm.
is an IPO, what is primary market, what is capital market. So Deep, this becomes a little boring, specifically for a young blood who is
Hmm.
looking for ways to make money and dominate the world per se.
Right.
So I just rushed in. At that point of time, we didn't have a lot of these online brokers. The Ruda and all these people have changed the complete landscape.
Hmm.
Hats off to those people. But this was the time when physical brokers used to be the ones who used to dominate this entire thing. I went to a place in my this thing in my city where in a building itself there were several brokers. A broker somehow enticed me to open an account with them, giving me some privileges that just by putting 1,000 rupees or something like that, you can open up an account, and that is where I started. Long story short, for 1.5 years, I did random gambling. I mean, very random thing. If something is going up, I used to sell short. For those people who don't know, sell short is you first sell the stock and then later on you buy that stock. So thinking that और कितना ऊपर जाएगा, I used to sell. Something which is going down, I used to think और कितना नीचे जाएगा, so I used to buy, and then it used to go further down. Then I did a lot of these random things. There was some lucky streak over that period of time, which I would call beginner's luck. But 1.5 years, I did realize that I've only lost money. I've not made money. I've just, for the kick of it, I am actually doing this thing.
Hmm.
And there was a faint period of time where I felt कि ये सही में जुआ है, because everyone says stock market is gamble, stock market is जुआ. So I thought, okay, let's leave it around. But then I thought कि Abhishek, you have not lost much, thankfully, because of my age, and second because my parents didn't used to earn so much, so they didn't give me a lot of pocket money. In fact, pocket money itself had started in that year itself. For my friends, it had started long back, but for me, it had started, and my pocket money was, I guess, 300 rupees or something, 200 or
Hmm.
300. So in 300, what you could do. So, 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 so somehow I had managed to save a lot of money to, for that brokerage account and everything. And then I thought that, okay, let's give ourselves a few years, 1.5, 2 years to understand this thing. But parallelly, let's keep on focusing on our education also. So stock market नहीं हुआ तो नौकरी कर लेंगे और क्या. But नौकरी
Hmm.
was not something which was ever exciting to me. That was deep
Hmm.
rooted into my mind that either I'll do a business or I'll do something on my own. In fact, I still remember I had a heated debate with my parents when I was in first year of graduation itself that I won't sit into placements. I don't want placements. I want to start something on my own. And they were like, कि पैसा कहाँ से लाएगा? First, have some money. I'm not. My father was like, I'm not going to give you any money. Find yourself. So because see, when people are from government class, a lot of people would relate. They are risk averse. They don't want to take risks, and business itself means you've got to take risks. So they were against this thing, and then I was like, कि नहीं मैंने इनके बारे में सुना है, धीरूभाई अंबानी के बारे में सुना है, and all those things. But then, of course, I wasn't getting that opportunity. Finally, what happened is so for 2 years, I kept on preparing myself, studying a lot of books around in the central library around stock markets, looking around for whatever resources, whatever people I could lay my hands upon, who had some knowledge about stock market. That is how I started accumulating knowledge. Parallelly, I did my education as well as I was trading. And now, while I was doing my post graduation, this time when I started trading, like I just started trading again, and this time the lucky streak actually started. You would be surprised to know, for close to 5 or 6 months, approximately a day. Just imagine a college grad, I was making 10 to 15,000 a day.
Oh,
Okay.
wow, that's insane. And when was this? When was this? What was this time?
This would be almost 8 years back. 9 years
Oh,
back. 9 years back.
that
It's
is
just
insane.
absolutely. And I was like on the top of the world. Now nothing can actually stop me. There were rumors around in the college that Abhishek has actually paid up his whole MBA fees by trading in the library. And to make it sure that yes, the rumors were right, I was making pretty significant. And back of my mind, I was like, "Ki, ab kuch karne ka nahi." Now life is sorted, no job, nothing. All I need to do. So before this, my expectation used to be that okay, anyhow, if I make let's say 500 a day, that's good enough. Now my expectations were way beyond. Like because my capital kept on growing, so I'm like, okay, anything at least 30, 40,000 din ka to will just make like this. Little did I know it's not that easy. I think the luck played a bigger role over here. What I used to do is for the viewers, I'll tell you this is something which you should not do. And it's good that because I started little early, I could get a good reference point. What I used to do is in our times, so in stock markets also there are few segments in which you trade. One is cash segment. That is simple. You buy a share, you sell a share. That's it. Normal. I would recommend everyone to go for that only because that's the simplest way. And for someone who's a working professional, it's better to buy a good quality share, hold it for a fairly long period of time, and eventually you make the return. That's one. The second part is the deadliest one, but the most exciting one, the adrenaline rush. That's the derivative part, futures and options. Now, here what happens is in your account, if you have 1,000 rupees, in our times, you could trade for 15,000, 20,000. With just 1,000 rupees, just imagine you can afford things worth 20,000. Now what happens is we fairly enjoy this thing कि 1,000 का अगर 100 बढ़ा तो 20,000 का just imagine कितना बढ़ जाएगा तो you make that kind of profit. Little did we do the reverse engineering कि अगर वो उतना गिरेगा तो फिर पूरा account चले जाएगा. So mine what was happening is because we were getting leverage. So futures, there is a segment called futures. Today to hold one lot of future, उसको आप lot में खरीदते हैं. Lot in the sense there are quantities. So like share, you can even buy one share. But when you're buying a future, there is a lot size which is defined by the regulator that is SEBI, Securities Exchange Board of India, and ये लोग decide करते हैं NSE के साथ मिलके. तो what happens is, let's say if I want to, and I'll give you an example. Let's say you want to buy Tata Motors. तो आपके पास एक ऑप्शन है, आप एक शेयर जाके बाय करो. Now let's take an example, आपको futures में बाय करना है. So there would be something like let's say 3,000 का lot है. So now one lot is 3,000 quantity. आप one lot buy करते हो तो आप सीधे 3,000 करते हो. Now you would wonder what would be the advantage. So now let's assume Tata Motors का एक शेयर का price is 500 rupees. So 3,000 into 500 would cost you a good 15 lakh rupees के आसपास हम मान लें. In futures today you can hold that for like 3 lakh, okay, three and a half lakh. In our times we could hold it for 20,000. In 20,000.
Wow.
Brokers used to. So just imagine the kind of insane leverage, we call it leverage, double-edged sword. Warren Buffett is against that. But that is, so what was happening is, the moment I used to create a capital, so let's say मैंने यही Tata Motors का लिया, I made some good profit. Now instead of buying one lot, with the same capital I'm buying two lots. इसको multiply किया, now four lots. So basically I'm piling up on the leverage. And one fine day, this bubble had to burst. This is exactly what happens across, just forget about stock markets. Evergrande crisis, which happened recently in China, वो भी एक debt crisis. I'm not saying future crisis. Debt पे debt बढ़ता गया और एक time पे वो फटना था. Likewise, if you see from various business classes, आप भी देखोगे, even a lot of foreign companies में आप जब देखते हो bankruptcy हो जाती है उनकी, जैसे Kodak की हो गई, Nokia की हो, Nokia मतलब on the verge था. ये सब क्या होता है कि ये बबल जो रहता है डेट पे डेट 2008 लेमन ब्रदर क्राइसिस डेट पे डेट सो व्हेन यू आर मेकिंग मनी इट्स लाइक यू आर ऑन द टॉप ऑफ द वर्ल्ड दैट मोमेंट दिस वन फाइन लो एंड यू विल बी गॉन एंड दैट इज प्रिसाइजली व्हाट हैपेंड आई हैड मेड अप माय माइंड कि जॉब कुछ नहीं करनी है आई हैड ऑप्टेड आउट ऑफ प्लेसमेंट्स लाइक माय फैकल्टी मेंबर्स व्हाट हैपेंड इज दे हैड अ मॉक placement drive just to make sure that whenever the companies arrive people as students are prepared we can give them the feedback. Interestingly, I didn't prepare anything for the mock, yet in the entire college, I stood third. in the
Hmm.
everything aptitude से लेके ये. So they were like कि ये तो अच्छा package लेके जाएगा, so we will put up the poster and everything, marketing होगी. And then I was not sitting for any company. Mahindra RE, I'm not sitting. Any damn company coming, I'm not sitting. So
Hmm.
finally they asked, are you going to eat up the seat of some other student or what's your plan? I said, I don't want to sit on placement. So they said कि आप
Hmm.
writing में दे दो because unnecessarily we are thinking कि ये है. मैंने बोला ठीक है,
Hmm.
दे देते हैं अपन. My parents didn't know this thing. I gave the
Uh-huh.
thing writing. But now what happened is one fine day, because of this leverage position, I started facing some blows, and I think within a week, whatever I'd created, so there was a time, just imagine I created humongous amount. You can just make up
Hmm.
your mind for a student, and I had blown up almost 30-40% of
Oh.
not just the profit, the entire capital. That was the case.
Oh.
Yes. So there were certain banks on which I had actually bet heavily. So this leverage for a layman, it's a borrowed fund. आपको broker
Hmm.
पैसा दे रहा है, उसपे
Uh.
इंटरेस्ट नहीं लेगा, बट आपको आज नहीं तो कल वो लौटाना है. इस तरह से आप
Is it the
समझ.
same as margins? What they call margins?
Margins, exactly. It is same as margin. So I was heavily margin, and history has a lot of evidence. Now I know that a lot of hedge funds, the big fund managers got bankrupt because of this thing. Billion dollars have gone lost. There was the biggest bank actually got bankrupt because of the same thing. Nick Leeson was a trader who used to do with leverage, and उन्होंने इतना leverage लिया कि $150 billion उड़ा दिया. That was the kind of leverage he was. So bank couldn't survive. The interesting part is, उनको एक पार्टी में बुलाया गया प्रमोशन के लिए. वो हंस रहे, हंसते हंसते ने बोला कि मैंने तो बैंक उड़ा दिया है. And seniors were also laughing, thinking that he's cracking a joke. And next day they realized कि अरे सही में इसने बैंक उड़ा दिया है.
Oh,
So,
jeez. Jeez.
so this is very dangerous for everyone who's coming into the stock markets, even in the crypto markets, even whatever asset class you deal with. Normal life में business भी कर रहे हो, वो जो बोलते हैं ना पैर उतने ही मतलब वो फैलाओ जितना
पसंद.
आपका कारपेट है, समथिंग लाइक दैट. वो उसका आपको ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा. दिस इज अ वेरी. तो नाउ आई हैड दिस थिंग कि यार अब तो जॉब शायद करनी पड़ेगी, मतलब इट्स नॉट दैट सिक्योर्ड आल्सो. ठीक है, नाउ आई हैड दिस कॉन्फिडेंस दैट आई कैन मेक मनी, बट समवेयर दैट वाज शैटर्ड स्पेसिफिकली व्हेन यू गेट दैट ब्लू. So for a brief moment of time, I did some job in Mumbai, and post, but market का कीड़ा एक बार लग जाता तो you can't leave this thing aside.
Hmm.
And then once there was a point of time, I switched my job. I came down to Pune again, and then did some a job over there. But deep within, I was there कि market पे जाने का है. तो this opportunity came that job में आप you cannot manage both the things. Markets and job you can't manage both the things. Although I was doing really well in the job. Finally, one of my friends actually suggested कि अपन एक business करते हैं, तू आ जा ये छोड़ के. तो I realized कि मेरे पास time रहेगा फिर. So I can also look around in the daytime into the market, rest time into the this thing. Although I couldn't get time over there as well, but ये एक मौका मिला था, तो I left without even putting down the papers. Now just imagine, in that particular job I worked for 2.5 years or 2 years and not putting down a paper. So it's like a blank slate. मैंने जो किया वो गया, because I had made up my mind दैट अब पीछे पलट के नहीं जाना है. और अगर मेरे पास ये पेपर हो, कहीं ना कहीं कल को मैं वापस एक जॉब ढूंढूंगा बेस्ड ऑन माय एक्सपीरियंस. I don't recommend this to everyone, but this is something which I did. I didn't put the paper. Interestingly, I had a farewell party which my seniors in the sense, my managers also didn't know क्यों हो रहा है. So everyone was like, आखिरी दिन हमने एक पार्टी करवा ली थी. So managers were also like asking the other colleagues, because my colleagues knew I was supposed to leave that day. तो वो लोग पूछे, बोले ये पार्टी वार्टी क्यों कर रहे हैं. तो दे वर लाइक, अरे सर बहुत टाइम से पार्टी नहीं हुई थी ना इसलिए कर. बोला अच्छा ठीक है. नेक्स्ट डे दे रियलाइज अच्छा इसके लिए फेयरवेल पार्टी हो रही थी. so that was crazy. Then I left. Then one of my roommates actually made me again realize that Hanuman movement की तेरे अंदर शक्ति है, तू कुछ कर सकता है, something like that. So I again came down to the market, and this time because I was prepared, I had a few set of losses and everything. Then the capital started growing. I realized one important factor about stock market, that if you really want to play really well into the stock market, you also need to have an alternate source of income. It's not because stock markets cannot make you money. The reason is because if you are psychologically burdened with the this thing that you have to pay your bills, you have to pay the rent, then you won't be able to focus as much as you can when you are trading with a free state of mind. So a lot of people think कि हम सब कुछ छोड़ के एक बार आ जाएंगे, until unless you don't have a backup capital which can support your family for let's say 3 years. If you have, because it's plain and simple, it's a game of psychology, less than technicals, less than fundamental, it's all about psychology. So you can be psychologically free only when you don't have a burden of ongoing EMIs, ongoing rent, ongoing all these things. But on the contrary, a lot of people come over here कि EMI निकालेंगे. When you're coming into a world of uncertainty, thinking that you will pay something which is certain to come every month, it's not possible for you people to dive into this thing. So this is a message which I would also give to all the people, that aap ek wo rakhiye, and that is where things actually got smoothened up. So I wouldn't say that.
Hmm.
So I started doing some corporate level trainings. I wouldn't say that corporate training was the income which I was making was more than what I was making in trading, but
Hmm.
इट वॉज डेफिनेटली अ सपोर्ट फॉर मी कि यार कल को किसी मतलब एक वीक तक अगर ट्रेडिंग में कुछ आया नहीं, एक महीने तक भी नहीं आया, तो एटलीस्ट आई डोंट नीड टू आस्क वन एनी वन फॉर मनी फॉर पेइंग माई रेंट, पेइंग माई फूड, बिकॉज देन दैट कॉर्पोरेट ट्रेनिंग इज टेकिंग केयर. So this is
Right.
in short, and then I came down to
Hmm.
YouTube, and just because people asked me, and then, so this was
Wow.
the stock market journey. Yeah.
There are so many things that you said, and so from, just to summarize, it's a lot. So just to summarize, first is that who you are is that you didn't want to do a job. That started that idea of being free of what you want to do. And you talked about, so that's one. Second is you talked about not being great at academics, but when you found that thing, that one passion, you were in the library, practicing, working on it. It's like that state of flow that people talk about. You were there, and that realization that this is my calling. And then early beginner's luck. You talked about that, and you also talked about early failures, which led to course correction. So there are so many things that people should take away from this part of your journey. Now there's the next phase. This was just the sort of sowing the seeds phase, where
True,
where where a lot of and today a lot of listeners are in the same boat. They are trying to do the same things, trying to find that freedom, trying to find as you said, to be in stock markets, or to follow your passion, you still need this alternate source of income, and that is what everyone tries to figure out. That the formula you said, being in stock markets or generating a lot of wealth, is to have this steady source of income. It may not come from a job. There are other options, like freelancing, like doing corporate events, or like doing courses, online courses, which we'll get to. So then you said, you already covered how you got interested into stock markets, and so what was this? Just before we proceed to this next phase of your journey, what was this? Were there any early setbacks? You already talked about that, but you want to highlight anything specific that
so
changed the way you looked at? Because as a teenager or as an early college grad, there's a place of safety where you come from. Kar lunga, and there's a lot of place, and then you fumble. When you go out there, there are somewhere you fumble, and those are the places where you learn a lot. What were those moments like, when
so
which defined you today?
okay, so three, four moments quickly I'll just tell. So first one is, so I won't go into sequence. I'll just jumble it
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
whatever is coming to mind. So one is, I remember when I left my job, the after a month, I get to hear from a colleague who was still working over there that my manager under whom I was working, who was all praises for me at one point of time, said कि ये अभिषेक कुछ कर नहीं पाएगा, छोड़ के चलेगा, घूम फिर के इसको नौकरी करनी है, कुछ नहीं होगा.
Hmm.
After 4 years after this incident happened, he met me into a marriage, and he said, "यार तू तो बड़ा आदमी बन गया यार, हमको भी थोड़ा सा हेल्प कर दे." So actually, little did he know, no anger against him or anything, but yes, that was a sort of motivation that नहीं अब खुद के लिए करके बता रहा है, not to someone else. But that was one defining moment that Abhishek, now since you have taken a leap of faith, and of course 99% fail in this thing, so now you need to really put in your efforts, whatever is required. You can't move back, because otherwise people will always have an excuse, or at least they will keep on mocking you for your entire life that ये बंदा ने करा था, देखो जोश में गया और वापस ऐसे ही आ गया. So that was
Hmm.
one moment where I really put in so much of hard efforts, where I decided I need to put in a lot of hard efforts. That was one. Second one was, I remember as a faint memory, while having lunch in my 11th class, I guess, one of my mathematics professor, he was sitting and 3 or 4 of us were sitting around him, and then he said a statement कि यार अभिषेक तेरे अंदर इतना दिमाग है, तू मस्ती मस्ती में लगाता है, तू अगर कहीं पे किसी दिन फोकस कर लेगा ना तो तू तबाही कर लेगा, समथिंग लाइक दैट. And I was like, yeah,
Hmm.
sir, अभी तो हम young हैं, अभी तो मस्ती करने दो and all those things. So because I used to trouble all the teachers out there, which people shouldn't do because now we are also teaching people, but then they shouldn't do. So that was
Now
the
they are
case.
called trolls, sir.
Yeah, now they are called trolls. But I wouldn't go to that extent. It was a respectful way of.
Yeah, I know, I understand. I'm just kidding.
So yeah, so that was there. So that also made me realize that yes, there are people who have a strong faith. Third is, I'll be honest, my father, at least at the initial stages, was having skepticism. And it's not like just for me, in real life also, he's a very skeptic person. Like, wouldn't call him pessimistic, but he's like, kaise hoga, kya hoga, very rational mindset. He's a BHU topper. And I always say that, which is the
Oh,
oldest university in Asia. So
absolutely.
I always say कि मेरे हिस्से की पढ़ाई तो मेरे माँ बाप ने कर ली है because they are PhD holders and everything. So I realize कि उन्होंने कर ली, मुझसे नहीं हो सकती थी इतनी. I realized that मतलब the formal education I couldn't do that. I do read a
Hmm.
lot of books. Lately थोड़ा कम हो गया है, but somehow I am getting doses of content through podcasts and everything. तो ये चीज हो गई. तो at that point of time what had happened is my father had a bit of skepticism, but my mother always had this faith. ये कुछ करेगा,
Hmm.
he will do. She always used to defend. I feel that at some point of time, this parental support, even not monetary, but a psychological support, it plays a very important role. There is someone to back you up, irrespective of whatever
Hmm.
happens in your life. You have someone to do that. And both were there, but yes, mom had a different share out there. माँ का देखिए, बेटों के साथ माँ का एक अलग रहता है, बेटियों के साथ पापा का अलग रहता है. This is the common thing if you observe in the Indian society
Yes.
at least. तो ये एक चीज था. Not trying to generalize, but this is something which we will often see. तो वो एक था. और एक final turning point if you say is I would say that blow जो हुआ था, which I just told you, जो उसमें मैंने कैपिटल कॉलेज में वो कर दिया था. After that, now for a month, I was again and again introspecting, but I did realize, yeah, Abhishek, you must have done something right that for close to 5, 6 months you are generating such kind of income. So now that
Hmm.
I'd seen that phase, I realized what could be the potential of stock markets. The only thing was, tab I was throwing the dart, I didn't know the direction. Now I only had to, go and figure out कि मैं किधर फेंक रहा था, and had to replicate this thing and create a system out of it. I knew I was, throwing the dart. It was hitting the target. I just didn't know how I was throwing the dart. Now I started doing the
Hmm.
reverse engineering. मैं क्या कर रहा था, मैंने क्या सोचा था, क्यों लिया था, कैसे हो रहा था. Although I had the setup in place, but then क्या mistake हो गई. Again and again, retrospecting, introspecting, and getting into that process, which helped me to refine. So that was also a turning point that Abhishek, you have made so much of money out of stock market, and of course you again gave it back to the market. But then, you must have done something right because of which you made money, and that is something which pushed me. And finally, one thing is like, uh, in general, I'm not talking about stock market, in general for life, what I've realized is a lot of us keep on complaining कि अपन lucky नहीं यार, वो तो lucky है, वो तो lucky है. Now I have a very different thought process towards luck. I would say yes, there are some people who are lucky. We cannot decline. Although I firmly advocate the harder you work, the luckier you get. I do advocate, but you can't deny that there are some people who are born with rich parents, born with a silver spoon. So उनको पास एडवांटेज रहता है. What we can possibly do in our 30s, they can possibly start doing at 20s. A lot of people tell कि देखो बिल गेट्स ने ड्रॉप आउट किया. A lot of people don't understand this fact that बिल गेट्स के स्कूल में, it was the only school which was having a computer at that point of time. If a
Hmm.
lot of people don't realize that his father was a good lawyer. A lot of people say कि मतलब they give a lot of Mark Zuckerberg was a dropout. A lot of people don't understand what the kind of backing they come up with. A lot of people talk about the CEO of Snapchat. The CEO of Snapchat himself actually said that in an interview कि अगर मैं कुछ नहीं भी कर पाता तो मेरे पापा के पास बेंस थी, मेरे पापा के पास ये थी. So you imagine, थोड़ा सा लक होता है, but luck cannot undermine the efforts these people have put. We cannot take away what hard work they have done. So what I realize is कि भाई दो तरीके हैं. एक कैटेगरी होती है जिसपे I assume I would fall is रे क्रॉक और ये KFC वाले कि यार 55-60 के बाद भी किया लेकिन कर लिया, मतलब फाइनली दे डिड इट. तो आई रियलाइज इफ यू आर पुटिंग एन एफर्ट, आज नहीं तो कल कहीं ना कहीं पहुंच जाओगे. और दूसरा है कि आप कंप्लेन करते रहो कि यार मैं तो मालिया का बेटा नहीं हूं, मैं तो इनका बेटा नहीं हूं, तो मैं क्या करूं. तो देर आर ऑलवेज टू एंगल्स. आई प्रिफर्ड कि कीप ऑन वर्किंग हार्ड, कीप कंसिस्टेंटली वर्किंग. इवन टुडे I know that there are a lot of people who have come later than me and they have surpassed me. That's fine. I take it as a motivation. I realize they had some surplus, they had some plus points. लेकिन लाइफ में ना कोई ऐसे ही सक्सेसफुल नहीं होता है. A lot of people think कि लक हुआ, कोई ऐसा नहीं होता. They have done something behind the scene which we probably don't know. They have worked out. आज Elon Musk the people give an example. I'll set this because I try to derive inspiration from everyone. Now to your viewers also I'll ask, हम लोग जो इतना मजाक, कुछ लोग मजाक भी बनाते हैं, how many of you can manage 6 different companies, $1 billion worth? How many can actually devote their lifetime कि 20 साल तक, 20 या 30 साल तक, you would only sleep for 6 hours, rest every time you're working and रात को बस Saturday Sunday party. How many of us can actually do that? Hardly. And then we'll say वो तो luck से रही, luck नहीं बना. He has actually put in. So that is what I believe. So this was also, so I wouldn't say a turning point, but this is something which I learned into my process. That अगर आपको लगता है कि आपके पास नसीब नहीं है तो नसीब बनाना पड़ेगा. You don't have any other option. And नसीब बनाने का एक ही तरीका है, स्मार्ट वर्क तो करो लेकिन हार्ड वर्क भी करो और साथ में कंसिस्टेंट रहो. Whatever you are trying to do, consistent रहो. So this is what I got away.
नसीब बनाना पड़ेगा. Hack your luck.
Yes, absolutely. उसका मैं एक सिंपल तरीका बता दो दीप जी, आपके पीछे जो है ना, ये उसका एक तरीका है. If you don't know, that is the kind of books, I can see a lot of books are out there. The thing is, this is what has helped me also into my life. We have limited time. देखो हम कितना जिएंगे, 90, 100, मैं तो 106 साल जी लूंगा, but एक जनरल बता रहा हूँ. So that is a target. See, stock market people always set some target. So that's a target. But then the point is, in our limited lifespan, we cannot have a collective wisdom of so many people. The best thing is books लो ना. एक व्यक्ति जिसने 80 years जिया है एक क्रांति लड़ते हुए, he has written a book. एक व्यक्ति जिसने साइंस के साथ 70 years डिवोट किया, उसने लिखा हुआ है. वॉरेन बफेट has written books. अरे भाई, आपको हर मिस्टेक खुद नहीं करनी है, आप आधी चीजें तो इनको देख के सीख सकते हो. So this is what, and once you read books ना, right now we all think unidimensional. हम एक ही डायरेक्शन में सोचते हैं, हमको जो लगता है वो सही है. Once you start reading books, हमको लगता है हमको तो कुछ पता ही नहीं है. मतलब what are we doing? So there are so many angles to think upon a different angle. So I would suggest everyone, even if you want to come into stock market में आने तो books तो पढ़ना ही पड़ेगा. Simple सी बात है. Even if you want to go into any other profession, you want to become a creator. Let's say you want to become a content creator, you want to become a YouTuber, you want to become an Instagram influencer. कुछ भी बनना है, you have to read. Now I'm not saying if you don't read, you won't become successful. But if you read, your possibility and probability of becoming successful will become 2x. That is what
absolutely. Hacking luck, one way is to read books, and so luck doesn't happen. You can manage it too. Read more. Just send that one cold email. Do things. Karm karte jao. You also said that keep doing things that you like doing, and then the luck will happen. Then things will start happening for you. So great takeaways from this. So stock market was going, and you're already on your way to doing things. Was it? Did you ever think of doing it as a team? A lot of people, from starting out as an individual, then sort of start a consulting business, or they take that's a traditional route to go towards that. Okay, now let me get other people's money. Manage it, or others are like Warren Buffett who'll buy cash cows and then invest in stock market. So there are multiple ways, right, to have this secondary source of income. What was that thought process like? Because then you went to YouTube route. I'm just assuming.
Yeah.
So
my thing was, initially when I started, it wasn't there into my head, but then later on realized that every business needs to scale. And alone one cannot scale. You need to have all those things in place. So for the consulting part, yes, this was also, this idea also came by a friend discussion itself that yes, when we are good, we could actually get into this thing. We did realize that in Indian ecosystem, at least from the stock market perspective, there are a lot of gray areas, as well as there are certain areas where some relaxation can be taken place, which is missing. So for example, in India, if you want to run a PMS, that is portfolio management service, first you need to have a net worth of, let's say, 12 crore. Plus, you need to have this many experience. Now you need to have a postgraduate degree. Plus, you cannot deal with derivatives. You can only deal with cash. That means you cannot sell. You can only buy. So there are a lot of restrictions. I feel that compared to the West, we need to bring a bit of leniency and relaxation because there is money sitting outside which is waiting to come in once these relaxation actually happens. But unfortunately, that is not happening. Hoping that, because I've heard that maybe in the coming few years this would happen. So that was there. So we found that for our thing to work out, consulting was a very good option. Did get into this thing. We have a good client base for this thing also, and in fact, we don't increase our clients. Now, you would be surprised why we don't increase. The thing is, 2020 or 2019, we thought of increasing our client base for the consulting part. We set an AUM target. For those people who don't understand, AUM is the management, the total corpus which you are actually under management, the assets under management which you are looking for. So we had a certain target. Now, interestingly, what happened is after this 2020 COVID fall, the kind of recovery happened and the kind of bets we had taken for our clients, the clients itself became tripled. So the client's amount actually became tripled.
Tripled.
So
right.
now it's like our AUM target, which we were thinking we'll get it externally, was internally filled. So now why to take an additional headache? Additional headache in the sense, headache may not be right word, but whenever you are taking more, whenever you are getting associated with number of people, your priorities, your responsibilities increase. So we are fine with these people. They were also like, we are ready to hook up the capital because everything is going fine and all those things. There are times where 3-6 months we are actually keeping it tight over there. So, and this is, so they have this power of attorney, okay, and they are doing it on their cells. We are trying to consult them in the sense. Okay? So now this entire thing happened. So, and we are also like chilled out. So later on, around, I guess, after the scam 1992 happened, since you mentioned about the YouTube part, okay, I'll just cover this thing also because you talked about the additional source. Before that, around 2018, I guess I had put up my first video, which is now not live. It was not even related to stock market. It was why pre-wedding photo shoots are a waste of time. So,
okay.
so that was because I literally felt that that's a waste of time and money. But so I had put up this thing. It didn't get much traction, and later on, what happened is a lot of colleges had actually started inviting me for sessions, universities and colleges. So in one such session, some students actually recommended that why don't you come on YouTube? YouTube, there were some finance influencers out there, and then they said, why don't you come? There's a good scope. Plus, you can reach a lot of people. And like, I don't know how to create videos. I don't know anything. Okay, let's try. And someone who believes in this power of launching experiments. You never know which experiment in life works. I keep on launching series of experiments. Yes,
absolutely.
In fact, even today, till date, my YouTube channel is a bunch of experiments only. A lot of people think that, okay, I'm grateful that we have reached like 5 lakh out there, almost 2.5 lakh on Twitter and all these things. We are grateful for that. But the point is, it has all happened with experiments. Someone would say, ki, strategy laga kya? Yes, there are people who build up strategy and they were, if we would have definitely put up a strategy now, we would have been sitting on $1 million. Okay. Now, I am the sole runner of my YouTube channel. I don't like to it's not like I don't like, I enjoy that process. I create videos, I edit also, I do every random thing out there. Because I enjoy that process. I enjoy that process. You would be shocked to know I don't even shoot on camera. I do it on phone. So,
wow.
Yeah. With phone, I reached like 5 lakh and total viewing of, let's say, 25 million or something. I've got that through phone. So this is also an example for the aspiring content creators. And you can, the better example would be Bhuvan Bam. He is a content creator on YouTube, creates a lot of comic stuff. He is sitting maybe on 20-30 million subscribers, all through his phone, single-handedly. He plays all the characters. So point is, that is when I realized that students bol rahe the but try karte. So the first video I made was on Bitcoin, which again I have removed. So it became very controversial. I mean, for the first time, this was just before the Geo era had hit. I mean, the Geo craze, I think, was dominating after 2020, right? Before this, 2019, I guess I had put up this thing, and it got so much of hate as well as both the coins were there, and it was one of the highest viewed videos of mine with 1,500 views at that point.
Wow, 1,500.
So that was so I realized, finance mein, I literally thought कि finance कौन सुनने आता होगा YouTube पे? I mean, I don't think so. Then I started. Now 2020 the scam 92 happened and then Corona, and then I realized कि यार थोड़ा seriously ले लेते हैं. At that time,
Hmm.
I was sitting on 110K subscribers. All random experiments. कभी भी कुछ भी
हाँ.
वीडियो डाल रहे हैं. एक दिन गाना गा के डाल दिया स्टॉक मार्केट के चैनल पे. कभी कुछ भी. I didn't know SEO होता है. I didn't know that organic reach कैसे बढ़ाएं. I didn't even used to put thumbnails. I
But
thought
very important question. You didn't know any of the technical things, and you still were at 110K. That is
Yeah.
so. That's
that was because of the I realized so far it was only because of consistency. I think that was
consistency.
Really, I'll tell you another point. I wasn't even that consistent at that point of time. So I think there were few videos which went viral. Viral in the sense, of course, not in contrast to the comedy or humor genre,
Right.
but from education point of view, 200K was time pe please Geo era, so that is actually a good 100K.
Yeah,
200K.
absolutely. Yeah.
So
yeah.
वो हुआ. Post Scam 92, I actually made a series because I know a lot of these stories. What actually went behind? What was really going behind Harshad Mehta with my sources and readings and everything, which was nowhere on the internet. And this particular series, I made like 6-7 videos in this series. This blew up. I mean, within 2 months, 10 million views, something like that, in the
Wow.
entire series. Yeah, every people used to wait. They keep even till date they keep on asking इसका अगला part कब आएगा. मैंने बोला यार कितने scam बनाओ. I know इंडिया में scams की कमी नहीं है, but कितने? So that went like people went crazy. And I had set up a target कि यार अभिषेक कुछ नहीं तो अपन 300K बनाएंगे. मतलब this is I think so financial year के हिसाब से set किया. Finance people they set with financial year, not normal year. So my target was कि I'll touch in 300K. नहीं हाँ, I had first touch in 150K set किया था. So I had crossed 180K. Then that year I thought कि चलो double करते 300K करेंगे. And then that went out to 472K, 480K. So close to 5. So I like ठीक है normal targets but surpassing those targets. But yes, after Scam 92, I did become regular. I started exploring about अच्छा thumbnail भी डालना रहता है. Now I realize why people didn't click on, because sometimes I used to be like वीडियो तो इतना अच्छा डाला है क्लिक क्यों नहीं किया यार, because thumbnail में ना मैं था, thumbnail में कोई भी नहीं था. So it was very confusing for people to understand. Then I also realized, so there were a couple of videos which I was putting without my face over here. So there is a particular group of audience which enjoys faceless videos, but I realize in finance probably that is not going to be working specifically with Indian crowd. आपको Indian जनता को भी समझना है. And India जनता trusts you when they are able to see you on the screen. So this is another realization. Then I realized अच्छा tags भी होते हैं. This was very late. This was 2021. I realized अच्छा tags भी होते हैं. चलो इसको tags लगाते हैं. So it's still a gradual process. Now, for example, now I have started another experiment which is very challenging. I'm trying to do. Now I am not even looking into views. All the views decent हो जा रहे हैं. मतलब when I breathe, my thing is let's put up 50 to 55 unique videos a month on that channel.
Wow.
In a month.
50
So
to
average,
55.
yes. So in that also I'm trying to bifurcate in the sense one is something related to the current developments which is going into the finance field, and one is something which I feel money saving tips, personal finance, or some story around how some US bank got bankrupt or something like that. So now again it's an experiment. Ideally a person, I'll tell you because I've got friends now in the YouTube fraternity also, not very close but at least hi hello. So I know this thing that what they mentioned, and that too I made in 2022. So very slow in these developments, but I realized that they are very risk averse. They don't want to experiment. Once they have found a proven way of growing their channel, they want to stick around it because that's a fair way. Because that's their sole bread and butter, and so now if someone knows how to go to 5 lakh, they know यही चीज हमको repeat करनी है. Maybe we need to improve the camera quality and everything, and then we'll reach 1 million and 2 million ऐसा. So no one is ready to experiment. On the other hand, I am like I will create 3-minute videos also. I'll create 1-hour video also. I'll create podcast also. So I keep on experimenting just to see. Okay, इससे क्या होता है? Once so even I was planning कि but I didn't do that. Once I thought कि I'll put a 5-minute video in which in the starting I'll say कि guys बहुत exciting चीज आने वाली इसको देखो, and then for the next 4 minutes a blank dark screen, and at the end I would write कि ये तुम्हारा future है, time waste मत करो, जाके काम करो. Then I thought कि नहीं, this would become very
का नुकसान हो जाएगा.
हाँ, मेरे को पता चला सारे सब्सक्राइबर भाग जाएंगे. so I dropped that idea. So this is how. But I'll tell you one more reason. What has happened is why I'm also doing this experiment, 1.5 videos, is because since the last 9 months, almost every day I've done a branded content. You know, even big YouTubers don't do a branded content every day. 9 months, I've got 140 brands. Okay.
Wow.
Actually, yeah, and good stable ones like range it from Motilal Oswal to Edelweiss to even TVS to any, you name any, I probably would have worked with this thing. I have rejected a few. कुछ फेस वॉश वाले आए थे, उनको रिजेक्ट किया था. बट देन मैंने बोला उस पे क्या बोलूं कि फेस वॉश लगाया और मेरे प्रॉफिट्स हो रहे हैं, दैट वुडंट वर्क. आई डिड. So from a user perspective, I introspected कि यार हर दिन भी ऐड करना सही नहीं होगा, but I also believe on this power of momentum. आज है कल नहीं हो क्या पता. So I kept on doing. तो मैंने कहा एक काम करते हैं, एक ब्रांडेड जा रहा जाने दो, एक उनको विदाउट, so that people have an incentive to stay around. So this is how I keep on doing experiments. And
incredible. You talked about consistency of posting without thinking. First is to get started. A lot of people today wait to get the camera right, to get this right, that right, always analyzing, over analyzing, and not get started. So first is bias towards action to get started. Post something. Don't be worried. Day one से people are worried about कि troll कर लेंगे या content ये हो जाएगा. These are all these demons in their heads, and that's why they don't get started. Then you said, and while doing it, you figured out the formula of cover image होना चाहिए. You have to feature in the video. There's the face of the brand has to be there in the video. You're not thinking of yourself as a brand, but you're still creating one.
Yes.
You talked about tags, you talked about SEO, but all of this was learned in the process of doing it, not by going out and सिर्फ करते करते आ गया. And that is very interesting. That sometimes these are obvious things when we hear. But when you're getting started, it's not that obvious. It is obvious in hindsight. And then today I see your experiments, like you do Abhishek talks, you do radio station, you do so many things. In fact, your vlogging pattern is very different. You'll do travels, and then you'll do some, and that creates a very exciting thing. You're not thinking around, you're even showing yourself bathing sometimes. So it is like that is what is to be unabashed about your style and to be yourself is what I think makes you stand apart, and that experiments is your thing, in my opinion. That is what makes you.
Even I would suggest everyone to keep on launching experiments. You never know which is going to work out. For example, I see a lot of people they set one goal कि ये करना है उसमें पूरी जान लगाएंगे. That is good. You're focusing. बट अगर वो नहीं हुआ तो दे डोंट नो व्हाट टू डू. अरे भाई, ट्राई अचीविंग. व्हाई टू सिट एंड कीप ऑन लैमेंटिंग दैट ओ माय गॉड आई डिडंट अचीव. हैव अनदर एक्सपेरिमेंट कि ठीक है, उसको एक अलग ढंग से करके देखो, इसको अलग तरीके से. यू नेवर नो विच थिंग. एंड अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम वी फील, जो लोग डेस्टिनी बोलते हैं, आई वुड से कि यही चीज करके आपकी डेस्टिनी बन जाती है. यू नेवर नो आपको क्या है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, Deep, I'll ask you itself. Today you are sitting over here interviewing me plus running a company and everything. If I would have asked you let's say 10-year-old Deep, his answer would have been different. He wouldn't have said कि मैं एक टाइम पे I'll be there, Teachmore रहेगा, ये रहेगा. It wouldn't be that thing.
Absolutely.
ये है, आपने भी experiments launch किए, कुछ successful हुए, कुछ fail हुए. fail से learning मिल गई और आगे बढ़ते गए. And you never know. Today you guys are actually running such beautiful organization. Maybe in future you go a next level. For example, Teachmore का जो एक और संगम हुआ अभी बीच में, you wouldn't have thought it maybe a few years back.
Absolutely.
So I think experiments तो करते रहना चाहिए, and that is something which has helped me out, and I will continue doing this thing. I love doing that. My thumbnails are also an experiment. If you see, so I'll give an example. अभी there is a cryptocurrency called Luna. So Luna actually fell by 99%, and now it is delisted. तो मैंने थंबनेल में एक लूना की फोटो लगा दी, वो जो चलाने वाली लूना वाली. so that, and that in terms of impressions actually got me good views because people are now like, ये क्या luminous finance से क्या लेना देना है? Now they clicked and they realized, अच्छा. So this experiment made me realize that people are always looking for newer kind of images. They अगर आप मतलब this is my realization, I may be wrong. I'll again do an experiment. So maybe मुकेश अंबानी की जो फोटो हर कोई यूज कर रहा है वो मत यूज करो, कुछ अलग यूज करो मुकेश अंबानी की. That might give you some more views because साइकोलॉजिकली ऑल्सो इफ यू थिंक कि बंदा क्यों बार बार उसने अगर एक ही फोटो देखी है वापस वो देखेगा तो शायद वो क्लिक नहीं करेगा ये सोच के कि ये तो मैंने देखा होगा जबकि ये वीडियो अलग होगा. सो अगर ये अलग फोटो होगी नाउ आई रियलाइज, सो दिस इज हाउ आई रियलाइज कि व्हाई, so my fellow YouTube friends who have millions of followers, why they have a dedicated team of 3 to 4 people to create thumbnail. I am like यार मैं तो 5 मिनट में बैठ के कुछ भी बना के डाल देता हूँ. Why these people are having 3-4 people? Now I realize कि they think from a beta testing करते हैं, they look from a audience perspective, and that is very much needed when that is your sole bread and butter. That's absolutely needed.
So you start figuring out the science in the craft too, which is very important, but while doing it, so that is the different version of it, that you're still experimenting, learning this work, that didn't work, and then always doing it. You also said very specific thing about you set targets, but you still experiment. Now these are, in my opinion, very both opposites, like poles apart. When you set targets, then you want to repeat doing the same things that worked and not do what did not work. You're not experimenting, so you're still setting higher targets and reaching there with all these multiple experiments that you do. How do you reckon?
Okay, so this could be a way. So there is a hack for this also. You keep doing experiments, okay? You will fail, you will learn. There might be some experiments which might work out wonderfully. For example, in a place, in an era where people are busy consuming short content, it's like 15-30 second content. On my channel, all the highest viewed content are above 1 hour. Okay?
Wow.
The one which is going to reach 1 million views, it's 1 hour 20 minutes. The other one is 40 minutes. The other one is 1 hour. So why it happened? If I wouldn't have experimented thinking कि नहीं सब बोलते हैं कि 15 सेकंड का ही डालो, I would have never bothered to go beyond 10 minutes. I did. Okay, fine. Another experiment which I did is सिर्फ जो whiteboard explanation होता है, that within 3 days went to 200K. Like, इस पे तो मेहनत भी नहीं करी. I just did some whiteboard stuff, explained and then closed it up. And that worked. So the thing is, now, of course, you have to balance also at some point of time. I'll keep on doing experiments. But let's say, if I feel कि नहीं मेरे experiments are doing more harm than good, as long as it's going normal. So let's say, I'll give an example. Let's say if I'm growing like 20 to 30,000 subscribers a month, okay? As long as I am falling into a range of let's say 15 to 20 with experiments also, that is fine. मतलब कुछ notionally ज़्यादा change नहीं हुआ है. Sooner or later I'll reach the target. Suddenly if I realize, oh my god, I'm down to 4,000 subscribers a day, which is a drastic movement. Now what I'll try to do is I'll go to the slate board. I know what works on my channel. वापस थोड़ा उसको back to back डालेंगे, फिर वापस experiment कर लेंगे. So this way the fun element is also there, and this target oriented thing is also there. But although I do set targets, but I'm not so harsh on myself, at least on the content part. कि ये नहीं हुआ तो मैं क्या? For example, I'll tell you. So this financial year, like 2022 का financial year चालू होने से पहले, my target for this thing Twitter was 250K, which I surpassed. 255K हो गया, ठीक है. On Instagram it was 100K. I didn't reach. I'm on 73 या 75K. But that didn't mean I will be very harsh. It's just like I realized कि मैंने effort भी तो उतने नहीं डाले. So now what I'm doing is फिर experiment कर रहे हैं, कुछ reels डाल रहे हैं वहाँ पे. Let's see what happens out there. थोड़ा motivation डाल रहे हैं. So this is what happens. Yeah.
Wow. So, and I see this recurring pattern in your thought process. You do things, you zoom out, and then analyze what worked, what didn't work. But you first do things. And that is a recurring pattern that I've seen, which is very opposite to sometimes what people try to do. They go and try to build a lot of content first, then, and not even showing it to people. So they're
wrong. I would suggest everyone who's listening this, आप बनाओ और उसको डालो. देखो दो चीजें होंगी. क्या होगी? ज्यादा से ज्यादा कोई देखेगा नहीं. वो तो ऐसे भी नहीं देख रहे जब आपके पास पड़ा है. पर आप ये सोचो, अगर देखा, किसी को पसंद आया और वहां से अगर वो पिकअप कर लिया, you never know the kind of careers you can unfold. And let me tell everyone who is listening this thing, teaching as well as content is going to stay here for the next at least 2 decades. I don't know about 30-40 years बाद हो सकता है हम रोबोट के अंदर काम कर रहे हो. You never know that.
Yeah.
AI पता नहीं कहाँ क्या कर लेगा. टर्मिनेटर वाला सीन हो सकता है. But at least for the next 2 decades, I would say आप टीचिंग पे, अगर if you're a good teacher, that's also a condition. It's a good teacher. And दूसरा, if you're creating content, publish it. Publish it. Don't just think कि अरे ये होगा वो होगा कौन देखेगा. Even initially, even I had some skepticism. कौन देखेगा ये? But then I felt, चलो कोई नहीं, अपन ही देख लेंगे, कोई नहीं देखेगा,
Right.
क्या हुआ?
And second is that expecting too much in the beginning to making money or what were so what expectations should you have when you're starting out is
You don't, money should not be the primary driver. अगर money ही कमाना है ना, तो पहले आप कुछ business कर लो, कुछ और कर लो. If money is the soul, money will be a byproduct. Money will be a byproduct. But don't. The problem is, this is the interesting thing. The reason why I also started YouTube is because of one of the best friends. He actually started a food vlogging thing. So we used to go to various famous places in Pune. For example, Bahubali Thali aa gayi thi tab. This Thali structure had actually come. And I think Bahubali tab nahi aayi thi. Deepika Padukone Thali aa gayi thi, and all these things had actually come. So वो जाता था, and I used to shoot with his iPhone because उसको food blogging दिखाना था. Food blogging was picking up, I guess 2017-18 it was picking up really well. तो 2-4 जगह पे गए थे, and he had actually put first video his went like got 100 views, the other one went 100 views or something. So he kept on saying यार तू भी करना, तू भी कुछ कर. Now the interesting thing is I continued on the journey. He left after 4 videos because he was not getting decent views. इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट इज उसका थर्ड वीडियो को नाउ व्हेन ही लुक्ड बैक इट हैज गॉट अपने आप ऑर्गेनिक कहीं से 5000-6000 व्यूज हो गया. बट नाउ ही डजंट हैव द ऑडेसिटी. नाउ ही कीप्स ऑन सेइंग कि अब तो इतने सारे लोग हो गए यार, अब क्या करेंगे. आई डिडंट थिंक, आई न्यू देयर आर सो मेनी पीपल. आई जस्ट कंटिन्यूड कि बट ठीक है. सो एज लॉन्ग एज यू आर हैविंग फन, दिस इज मोर इंपॉर्टेंट. जस्ट डोंट क्रिएट अ कंटेंट फॉर द सेक ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि एक ब्लॉगर ने साल का 10 करोड़ कमाया इसलिए मैं ब्लॉगिंग कर रहा हूं. नहीं, आप वो करोगे तो कभी नहीं कमा पाओगे. आप अगर खुद के मजे के लिए यू फील की ऑडियंस को इसमें मजा आएगा और आपको मजा आएगा, यू नेवर नो. हु नोस आप 10 क्या 20 CR कमा.
right.
लिमिट योरसेल्फ.
लगे रहो और मजे करो. इट्स दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ अ थिंग.
आप जो भी प्रोफेशन लो उसमें मजे करो. आप मजे नहीं करोगे तो वैसे भी आप फ्रस्ट्रेट हो जाओगे. एंड दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम विद 96% इंडियंस. मैं कहीं स्टैट्स पढ़ रहा था, 96% ऑफ पीपल, एक आप देखोगे अनहैप्पी इंडेक्स जो आता है, स्ट्रेंजली हम इंडियंस बहुत बोलते हैं कि हम तो मस्त रहते हैं, तो भी वी हैव स्लिप्ड डाउन बिलो पाकिस्तान इन दैट. सो एंड यूके व्हिच यूज्ड टू बी वेरी डाउन इन दैट हैप्पीनेस इंडेक्स, इट हैज गॉन इनटू द टॉप 10, जबकि इतना एक्सपेंसिव है ये. व्हाई? बिकॉज लास्ट 10 ईयर्स से एक तो उनकी गवर्नमेंट ने फोकस किया कि मोर देन जीडीपी वी हैव टू लुक इनटू द ग्रॉस हैप्पीनेस इंडेक्स. हम उनके लिए मेडिकल एक्सपेंसेस का वो करेंगे, खुश कैसे रह सकते हैं, वर्क स्ट्रेस कैसे नहीं हो, एंड दैट्स व्हाई दैट रैंक इज इंक्रीज. इन इंडिया व्हाट हैपेंस इज हम लोगों को जो चीज पसंद नहीं है ना वो भी कर रहे हैं. लॉट ऑफ पीपल कीप ऑन कंप्लेनिंग कि यार हमारी जॉब में मजा नहीं आ रहा, जॉब में बॉस ऐसे. अरे जॉब चेंज करो ना. अरे जॉब हम कैसे चेंज करेंगे? इंक्रीज योर स्किल सेट, एज सिंपल एज दैट. एंड देयर आर पीपल हु आर रियली हैप्पी विद देयर जॉब्स. इट्स जस्ट दैट people, if you are not happy while you're looking into this video, you probably either you are into the wrong profession or you are not taking enough efforts to take a switch. That's what is lacking. Yeah.
If you're not happy, you're not not experimenting enough. You're not experimenting
You're not
enough.
experimenting. Exactly. You're not
Yeah.
experimenting. मतलब आप बहुत लोग बोलते हैं ना मेरे को अपने लाइफ का पर्पस नहीं पता. अरे कुछ करते रहो, कहीं से तो निकल ही आएगा तुम्हारा.
पर्पस ढूंढते रहते हैं.
पर्पस ही नहीं है तो फिर तो आप जिंदगी भर बैठे रहोगे.
Absolutely. And one more thing I picked is, so you say that scam 92 आया और मैंने वीडियो बनाया और ये हो गया. But you found that wave. It's not very easy to spot. Okay, and you're also, it's not अभी देखकर लगता है कि हाँ ये स्कैम 92 आया था और हो गया. लाइक समटाइम्स इट्स अ डेरिवेटिव थिंकिंग दैट ओह दिस वाज द फॉर्मूला. बट व्हेन इट हैपेंड, नॉट nobody did it, only you did it. And how did that happen? What, like you spotted that? What made you look at it in a way, or you're not looking at all and it was one another experiment? How did that happen?
It was experiment. Okay, so it's like, and that this experiment helped me to realize a few things also. So for example, first so this series ये जब अक्टूबर में आ रही थी, आई वॉज ऑलरेडी सो एक्साइटेड अबाउट द सीरीज दैट जिस दिन आया उस दिन मॉर्निंग 5 o'clock, like 12 o'clock आया, तो आई एम नॉट अ नाइट पर्सन. 5 o'clock आई हैव पेड फॉर सोनी लिव का सब्सक्रिप्शन एनुअल. आई डोंट नो, मैं आज तक समझ नहीं पाया मैं एक सीरीज के लिए एनुअल क्यों दे देता हूँ, बट चलो दे दिया. तो आई वाज सो एक्साइटेड दैट आई विल वॉच इट अगेन एंड अगेन. 2 ही बार देखी, बट जो भी हो मैंने देखी. एंड देन आई कंज्यूम द एंटायर सीरीज दैट डे. ट्रेडिंग चल रहा है, जस्ट पुट इन वन ऑर्डर, एग्जिटेड, एंड देन उसके बाद लगे हुए हैं, कोई काम नहीं कर रहे. उस दिन यूट्यूब वीडियो भी नहीं डाला था, आई थिंक सो. आई एम जस्ट वॉचिंग, हुक्ड अप. आई ऑलरेडी इंस्टेंटली न्यू दैट दिस इज गोइंग टू बी हिट, एंड इट डिड बिकम. आई न्यू कि ये होगा. देन व्हाट हैपेंड इज, एक चीज मेरे को पता थी. देन स्लोली जब मैंने 2-4 दिन में लोगों का भी रिस्पॉन्स देखा ऑन ट्विटर एंड ऑल, आई रियलाइज पीपल आर एक्साइटेड. एक्चुअली मैंने तो बहुत सारे, वो क्या बोलते हैं, मूवी देखने के बाद आप स्पिल कर देते हो, जो लोग मना करते हैं, स्पॉयलर्स. मैंने स्पॉयलर दी थी एक, जैसे जैसे मूवी उधर चली, एक सीरीज खत्म हो रही है, मैं उधर, अच्छा हर्षद मेहता के ऊपर ये हुआ था, ये हुआ था. I knew all these things. Now what happened is that I had already read that book Scam 1992 4 years before the release of this series. Okay. And a lot of people don't know that this series, जो initial talk था, वो Netflix के साथ था. ये बहुतों को पता ही नहीं है.
अच्छा.
Then that somehow failed. Corona again. And suddenly I realized कि ये तो इनके साथ था, Netflix. तब बस announcement हुआ था. And I'll tell you, इन लोगों ने बहुत cleverly किया था, because Big Bull had also announced their project. Ajay Devgan and Abhishek. They knew the story is going to be similar, और एक बार रिपीट होता तो मजा नहीं आता. They fastened up their process, series वाले. And the filmy Bollywood stars thought कि यार छोटे पर्दे वाले कितना ही कर लेंगे. And that was their underestimate. कभी किसी को नहीं करना चाहिए. You never know the underdog what they can do. And Pratik Gandhi and all the other actors justified this thing. उन लोगों ने वो कर दिया और वो निकाल के हिट हो गई. So I already had some idea. So while watching the series, I could relate, and I knew there were few missing pieces. I knew that this is Suchita ma'am's version. This is not exactly, not 100%. So for example, Harshad Mehta in his real life never used to put in all these dialogues कि मैं अपने जेब में लाइटर लेके घूमता हूँ ताकि धमाका कर सकूं. He never. He used to be a shrewd, in fact, kind of strict guy कहते. That was his attitude. But of course, मसाला डालने के लिए इधर ये करा है. दूसरा चीज है, if you look into the entire series, I'm pretty sure you must have watched that series. तो सीरीज के बाद एक फाइनल कंक्लूजन जो एक यंगस्टर बनाता है, वो बनाता है यार ये तो भला मानुस था, बेचारा फंस गया. यही एक कंक्लूजन निकालता है, विच इज फेयर टू सम एक्सटेंट, बट दैट डजंट एट ऑल रेसिप्रोकेट व्हाट एग्जैक्टली हैड हैपेंड इन 90s. लिटरली पीपल मास सुसाइड हुए उस टाइम पे बिकॉज ऑफ. सम पीपल जस्टिफाई कि किया तो फिर राकेश झुंझुनवाला एंड दमानी जी ने भी था. बट माई काउंटर टू दिस थिंग इज कि 10 लोग अगर मर्डर करते हैं, उनमें से 8 बच जाता है, डजंट मीन कि बाकी 2 भी इनोसेंट. ऑफ कोर्स दे माइट बी गिल्टी और व्हाटएवर, बट दिस डजंट मीन कि ही वाजंट गिल्टी. एंड माय फाइनल काउंटर टू दैट इज अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल हु आर एम्पैथाइजिंग विद हर्षद कि भाई लूप होल था, ये था. ना जस्ट इमेजिन, लोगों को अपने आप को उस जगह पे रखना चाहिए कि उस समय पे आपकी सैलरी अगर है 1000 रुपए महीने की, आपका वो 1000 एसबीआई में रखा रहता है और आपको बिना पता चले कोई आपके उस 1000 से स्पेकुलेशन कर रहा है. नाउ हाउ वुड यू फील? इट्स वेरी इजी टू कमेंट. और दिस इज व्हाट हर्षद मेहता वाज डूइंग विद मिलियंस ऑफ दिस थिंग. आई एम नॉट अगेंस्ट हिम. व्हाट ही डिड, वो अगर नहीं होता तो स्टॉक मार्केट का क्रेज भी इतना नहीं होता. लेट्स फेस इट आउट. चाहे 2020 में लोग इतने आए, चाहे पहले हो, नहीं आते अगर वो लाइमलाइट में लेके आया था. But the thing is, we should appreciate the good parts, but we should also openly talk about कि there were aspects. वो scam ऐसे ही नहीं था. Yes, conspiracy थी, ये थी, वो था. So I realized, since I know these parts because of my conversation with so many that era के traders and investors and speculators, network बन चुका है. I have read articles, books. I have read even those things which are now not available on internet. I always say Google पे हर चीज नहीं है, बहुत सारी चीजें उधर नहीं है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई ओपनली यूज्ड टू से यूट्यूब पे जाके आप केतन पारेख का 1-to-1 कोई भी इंटरव्यू निकाल के दिखाओ, यू वोंट फाइंड. बिफोर दिस पीपल यूज्ड टू फील कि नहीं नहीं मिल जाएगा. आफ्टर दैट पीपल केम बैक टू एंड कमेंट, अरे सही बोल रहे हो यार, एक भी नहीं मिला. बहुत लेट में स्कैम 92 के बाद एक क्लिप निकली केतन पारेख. तो माय पॉइंट वाज, सिंस दीस नो वन इज टॉकिंग अबाउट, कहीं पर नहीं है, लेट्स रिसाइट द स्टोरी. नो एडिटिंग, नथिंग, सीधे और लैपटॉप के कैमरा पे लेके बैठ गए हम और रिकॉर्ड करके डाल दिया. नाउ दिस इज बिकमिंग, बिकॉज पीपल आर हुक्ड अप, इट इज गेटिंग इनसेनली क्रेजी. तो आई सेड कि चलो इसका सेकंड बनाते हैं. नाउ वंस यू स्टार्ट गेटिंग ट्रैक्शन, एज आई सेड, आई एम अ पर्सन ऑफ हु लव्स राइडिंग द मोमेंटम, बी इट इन ब्रांड्स, बी इट इन व्यूज, बी इट इन एनीथिंग. मुझे अगर उस समय पर पता लगा कि ये एक्सपेरिमेंट चल रहा है, तो मैं उसको थोड़ा टाइम तो करते रहूं. आई वोंट डिविएट अंटिल अनलेस आई गेट बोर्ड आउट ऑफ इट. मैं कर रहा हूँ. 6th के बाद मैं थोड़ा बोर हो गया. मैंने बोला कितने स्कैम, अभी बाद में स्कैम चलेंगे, अभी ये चलने दो. तो वो किया. So I would say there were three elements out here. First one is, yes, I was there at the right time, right place. अगर मैं वही चीज शायद अब करता उतना ट्रैक्शन नहीं मिलता. उस टाइम पे people were looking up, searching for Scam 92, Harshad Mehta and all. तो वो शायद work करके. Today I know this thing. That time I didn't know. This was until my head. It was just an experiment. Second, I re-realized one of my potential, that is storytelling. तो मुझे काफी लोगों ने बोला, सर आपकी स्टोरी टेलिंग नेक्स्ट लेवल है, आप स्टोरी टेलिंग बहुत बढ़िया करते हो, आप नहीं बताते हो ना, वी गेट एनग्रॉस्ड. तो आई रियलाइज कि हाँ, कॉलेज में भी अपन ने अवार्ड जीते थे इसके लिए, स्कूल में भी अपन ने कुछ कुछ थोड़ा बहुत किया था बाद में. तो आई रियलाइज, अच्छा, तो नाउ आई नो हैक. तो यू आस्क्ड मी ना कि एक्सपेरिमेंट एंड टारगेट, तो मुझे पता है कि अगर सही में मैं बहुत ऑब्सेस्ड हो गया टारगेट को लेके, तो मुझे हफ्ते का बस एक स्टोरी डालना, इफ आई रियली गेट ऑब्सेस्ड, व्हिच आई एम नॉट. So I know that crack part also. So I am probably that person who knows कि वो मिलियन पे जाने के लिए 2 मिलियन पे क्या करना है. But still I am like, नहीं, अभी तो एक्सपेरिमेंट करना है. My experiments are so random. I last to last month I had put up one video 2 a.m. in the night. Scheduled था, मैं तो सो गया था. Scheduled. कौन देखेगा रात को 2 बजे? But मैंने डाला था. And that became the 6th highest video of that month. So just imagine, मतलब, so that made me realize कि अगर content अच्छा है तो लोग कभी ना कभी देख ही लेंगे. This is how I figure out things. Yeah.
Right. ये कहते हैं ना कि you know you start searching for it in the universe and you find it in yourself. It is that same story recurring over and over again. So because when I speak to a lot of people, और ये बोलते हैं ना कि you're searching for you catch the wave or you want to catch that wave, but usually I want to it is now become very apparent to me that the wave is always happening right in front of you. It is right now happening in front of everyone. It is in your smaller experience. You were so passionate about Scam 92 that it was not a wave in that sense. It was just that it was happening to you and you did that. And it is happening to a lot of people, but they're not taking any action towards it. So the waves are already happening in their own context and people are not just taking action for it. So that's what I learned from this, that when you're passionate about it, कहीं और ढूंढने जाने की जरूरत ही नहीं है, आपके सामने ही हो रहा है. And it will, and then the right place, right time, all of that in retrospect feels, but when it's happening,
फिर आपको सब बोलेंगे आप लकी थे, वो तो
right,
but then,
right, absolutely. So all of this, and I remember. So moving on to your online academy and when you launched it, so let me tell all the viewers and listeners. So this generally doesn't happen to us, but this was around June, I think. Just COVID had happened, and around June, you had messaged us on chatbot. And all our team was so Yashesh, who's leading sales for us, then me, everyone had COVID issues in our families. Yashesh himself had COVID, and he had messaged, and nobody had the time to answer. We were a very small team then, so we had almost lost you. I don't know how, but we had lost you. Somehow we figured to get you back. And I remember Yashish telling me that we have this Abhishek Kar. He's a YouTuber, big one. He is two. I think you had almost around 200K followers then. And you had said, will your servers stop working? and we said, मतलब अभी तक तो ऐसा, it has never happened that our servers have gone down. And I mean, who is this guy who's asking us this? So I went and searched for you. And we had this little chat between me and Harshal that, you know, he means business, I think. So we should really be a little more prepared. And then you launch, and in 2 days, the traffic was like, it was a hockey stick traffic on Teachmore. And I don't want to give out the numbers of the courses, but that was a huge number. I mean, people cannot imagine that much money you can make in 2 days with online courses. You know, it's just, it's unheard of. It still hasn't happened on Teachmore. So it was such a unique thing. However, you're so confident about that launch.
So see, in all these years, what I've tried to do with my audience or whatever people I've interacted is, I've won them over trust. And deep within, I know the kind of trust people bestow upon me. So I knew the very moment I'm going to announce that I am launching a course, there would be an influx of crowd, irrespective of whatever ticket size I keep. Now, I know probably my ticket size is also higher in contrast to a lot of people who place out there because my minimum only starts with 10,000
Mm.
and that goes beyond that. Whereas in our industry also, there are several people who keep it 500,000, which is ideal way to go, I believe. But then, to be honest, I knew if I keep that figure, then so there would be crazy amount of traffic, and I don't want to get into that. And moreover, I felt that I should be rewarded for the time and efforts I'm going to put. So I created that ticket size. So my point was first, I had this deep faith and trust on my audience. Because previously I had this experience, I had announced a 1 day webinar. At that point of time, I had put up my website and that
Mm.
was been created by a few people and I was chilled. I thought कि ठीक है जितने आएंगे and आएंगे. And then the moment this website was launched, it crashed within 10 minutes when I had just
Okay.
put it up on Twitter. And I asked what happened. So they said, sir, within sir ये होता नहीं because I always inquired. They said, sir, unlimited
Mm.
कुछ है कुछ तो भी बोला
Mm.
था
Uh,
unlimited है.
uh.
But then they said कि sir problem ये हो गया कि within 30 seconds there were 7,000 clicks. So because of that ये हो गया and then they were trying to justify कि सर e-commerce वालों के साथ भी हो जाता है कभी कभी and all. मैंने कहा अरे चालू करो यार मतलब it's so embarrassing कि
Mm.
हमने ये किया and ये हो गया. So I had that realization कि ये चीज शायद हो सकती है आगे चल के भी. So that is where I had this confidence and I'll tell you also why because after almost 4 or 5 months, for 4 or 5 months, I had not announced anything educative other than my YouTube this thing. So I knew that there were people who were waiting on the fence. Abhishek karega, and then will come. So that's the love and the trust which people have. So based on my
Right.
historical experience and this thing. So that's why I kept on clarifying from Yashesh also, Pakka and all. And thankfully, I'm happy with the platform, not trying to, promote or something,
Yeah.
but really
Yeah.
I'm happy. And since you created that backstory, I'll also inform the audience ki why I also, because I believe somewhere or the other in this conversation will come up to this question that why I picked Teachmore also. So I'll tell you why. Okay. This
Yeah.
is my, this thing. First is the reason why I stayed out there. Another 5 or 6 days, I would have picked up some other platform. If
Right.
so, I'd already waited for 10 days, 8 days because of the COVID scenario. I did realize, but I was so looking for this thing. Now, I would be honest. I had a conversation with some other platforms also. Won't name them, but
Mm.
somewhere or the other things were not working out. So one platform, they wanted कि ठीक है, we'll give you everything, but we'll take a 10% sharing. Now
Mm.
I had done the math in my head that for me at least this won't work out so well because that 10% would be huge, which I'd be paying them for the kind of traffic I can get. So I negotiated, and the interesting part is they had actually come down to 5%, and people should actually thank me because of me. Now the new creators on their platform are getting 5%. I didn't go over there, but because of me,
And
they're
all our creators are smart. They know what platform you're talking about.
yeah. So they would understand. But I tell you, for a creator, for those people who are aspiring to be a creator, this model would work only if you are going to play a short-term game. I'll tell you why. What happens is, let's say today you feel it's risky to put up a upfront amount and then create your own platform and then percentage sharing. But think from a larger picture. Today, let's say you just have 5 people who will be attending your session. Tomorrow, if that goes to 500, once you have a larger scale, switching cost is different. It's not easy to switch your platform. That's number one. Second is that point of time, think from a long run. So let's say when you start making 8 digits, 9 digits, 10 digits, now that percentage sharing, it's a good thing for platform. They are smart enough. But for you would have that कि यार अब तो इनको ऐसे ही मिल रहा है. You would have this realization कि उतने amount में तो मैं अपनी team in-house बना के वो बिठा के वो चीजें कर लूँ खुद का ऐप बना के. This would be the realization. That was one. Second, I didn't want to get into the technical aspects of making an app, making a website, and all those things because I'm not a techie. So, as I mentioned, I'm a commerce background. So, I cross-verified almost 3-4 times from Yashesh. I have asked him a lot of silly questions कि अच्छा ये भी करके दोगे, अच्छा Android का ये पूरा ऐप हो जाएगा, ये चीज रहेगा, वो रहेगा. and they said कि हाँ कितने दिन में होगा. I clarified almost everything and I was just adding 2 days to that कि चलो 2 दिन का भी technical है, ऊपर नीचे हो सकता है, but thankfully everything was delivered on time. तो वो सारी चीजें I knew कि the Teachmore team could actually deliver that. Not trying to flatter, but this is the reality. They did deliver it on time. तो मेरा technical वाला मेरे को सोचने की जरूरत थी. See, I want to focus, as I said, मैं अपने experiment में focus करना चाहता हूँ. So I want that some other person should actually look for, and that was beautifully done. And the interesting part is, I within the mid of this thing, there was another competitor similar to Teachmore who had approached me, and then when I informed कि नहीं मैं तो इनके साथ अब कर रहा हूँ because everything was finalized, I had taken the subscription and everything, तो they were like कि अरे आप ये पूछ लो something on Android maintenance या ये कि इनमें हमेशा bugs आते हैं तो क्या ये करेंगे, क्या included है, नहीं होगा सर ये अलग से लेंगे. एंड आई हैड ऑलरेडी आस्क्ड यशेश दैट, तो मैंने एक बार रीक्लैरिफाई कर लिया, यशेश सब आप देख लोगे ना मैं साल भर का, बोले हाँ सर सब ये सब भी है वो सब भी है. तो आई एम लाइक नहीं वो तो इंक्लूडेड है, बिकॉज मोस्टली व्हाट हैपेंस इज फॉर दिस पीपल एक्चुअली चार्ज एडिशनल अमाउंट. लाइक कि मेरा तो सॉर्टेड है जब ये चीज है. द ओनली रिस्क आई वांटेड टू सी इज वेदर Teachmore will be able to handle the traffic which would come on the first 2-3 days. And thankfully it went on well.
We had fingers crossed throughout.
so वो था. In fact, Yashesh also, I think so, when we had this conversation, he was also surprised looking at the numbers which were coming in. Like he probably also didn't anticipate कि इस तरह के, specifically because I remember शायद यशेश से बात हुई थी तो indirectly he was suggesting me to come down in the ticket size also. I was like नहीं हो जाएगा यार, देखा जाएगा क्या 50 तो नहीं होगा. And the next important challenge for me was, so 2019 I had done online live webinars. Okay. Now I realized that live webinars में एक issue रहता है that you have to have your time commitment. Time commitment in the sense, if it is an 8 hour you have to give, and I wanted to do other experiments. So I didn't want to get hooked up कि पहले एक announcement करो फिर ये जाएगा. Now the good thing which Yashesh has told me कि now it is possible easily on Teachmore also, like a good amount of audience I can bring. So that's another add-on. So now I don't need to go anywhere else also. So it's like वो बोलते हैं manifestation. I think and Teachmore is actually manifesting those things for me. So I was in the back of my mind कि मेरे को अभी live वाला नहीं बनाना है. I want this thing. And the biggest challenge in stock markets, courses actually get leaked. My specification was कि वो screen पे, I didn't even know the term, screen पे ना वो email address लिखा आना चाहिए कहीं पे भी मैंने देखा था ताकि अगर कोई करे तो वो पकड़ा जाए. And Teachmore was providing me that also. I was like, wow, ये तो secured है, मतलब screen record भी नहीं हो सकती है.
On the videos.
Watermark. Yes. And the other two competitors didn't have this option. They were like, sir नहीं होता है हमारा बस. मैंने बोला हो गया तो भाई करने को तो लोग Netflix भी कर लेते. At least I should know कि legally किसको मैं पकड़ूं इस चीज में, पकड़ लूं. और जब आपके पास एक illegal डंडा रहता ना, no one dares to do. And another interesting thing, दूसरा बंदा कैसे कर सकता है? इट्स लाइक इफ दे आर ओपनिंग इट एट 5 डिफरेंट प्लेटफॉर्म्स, टीचमोर गिव एन ऑप्शन, आप चाहो तो एक ही प्लेटफॉर्म वन एट अ टाइम कर दो सेटिंग्स पे जाके. आई डिड टू. तो फिर मैंने बोला अब आप कर ही नहीं सकते हो. सामने किसी का रिस्पॉन्स भी आता था. आई यूज्ड टू से कि आप एक काम करो, एक जगह से साइन आउट करो, दूसरे पे चले जाओ. सिंपल एंड सिंपल. तो द काइंड ऑफ features with Teachmore. So this was a part of my research before launching an experiment which I did with couple of other brands. Right. So there is one foreign competitor, I can name that also, जो मैं कहीं सोच रहा था. I forgot.
Teachable.
Yes. That was what I was fearing. लेकिन उसके साथ फिर दूसरा चैलेंज है. हो तो सकता था टेक्निकल करके the Razor Pay and Instamojo integration, बट फिर वो उसके लिए आपको वो कुछ लेना पड़ता है, फिर ऐसा अटैच करो. और दूसरी चीज ये है कि मेरे अंदर वो था कि इफ एन इंडियन ब्रांड कैन मैच दो स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑफ एन इंटरनेशनल ब्रांड, दैट कुड बी नथिंग. एंड मेरा एक फाइनल पॉइंट ये था, दिस इज बाय दिस थिंग कन्फेशन आउट देयर, दैट again let's experiment. A lot of people, at least in my community, finance community, don't know this brand. Experiment करते. And again this was a successful experiment.
Thank you so much.
Your costing wasn't, to be very honest,
right.
If we compare from the deliverables which you guys give, it's not high. Guys, इसके लिए मुझे पैसे नहीं दिए गए.
Yes.
ये मैं खुद से बोल रहा हूँ. Yes. So ये disclaimer दे देते. So it wasn't high. Whatever I needed, it's there. And I could think of so you guys, because you look into the back end, for last strangely for 7 months, 8 months, आई हैव नॉट प्रमोटेड एनी कोर्स,
हाँ.
स्टिल कुछ ना कुछ अपने आप जा रहा है, मतलब
Right.
हो रहा है हर महीने का अपने आप कुछ हो रहा है। आई जस्ट जब मेरी जीएसटी फाइलिंग होती है तब मेरे को अच्छा इतना आ गया यहाँ से, ठीक है, तो दैट इज तो
Making money while you sleep.
हाँ एग्जैक्टली हमने वो चीज करी है, मेकिंग मनी वाइल। तो दैट सेंस ऑफ फ्रीडम, दैट ओके a safe platform is running, my students are coming, they are consuming. Now the good thing, I am not so sure whether it has already been executed, but Yashish now says कि सर आप और कंटेंट भी डालोगे तो हम पूरा वो भी ले लेगा, मतलब very early when I had actually asked there was some limit to ये
uploading
वो नाम
and
अपलोडिंग, बोले सर अब वो भी नहीं है, आप करो और आप लाइव भी करो, लाइव में भी आप I think so 10,000 people, how many? Thousand?
With two-way videos, you can go to 500 students, and if you are doing a one-way webinar, then it's 10,000, 5,000, 10,000. You can.
तो मैं बोला यार वन वे में 10,000 है, प्लस so the good part about your team, okay, I'll tell you, I don't work with, so I work with a lot of third party vendors for different things. For my trading terminal, there is a vendor. For everything, for our team of traders, there's a different thing. I don't work with anyone who doesn't treat customer satisfaction as their key. आप भले ही एक दिन डिले करो, लेकिन कस्टमर वो होना चाहिए, क्या बोलते हैं, जो Amazon बहुत अच्छे से करता है, जेफ बेजोस जिस पे ध्यान देता है, तो माई दैट वाज की। तो अगर ये चीज होती ना, मान लीजिए कोई चीज आप लेट भी करते जो आपने नहीं करी, बट अगर वो कस्टमर सेटिस्फैक्शन नहीं रहता ना, कि यशेष को मैसेज कर रहा हूँ तो मान लो 4 दिन तक रिप्लाई अगर नहीं करे, कॉल नहीं उठा, या एनीवन आप लोगों का जैसे ग्रुप है, अगर वो नहीं आता, so I wouldn't have thought of taking the second experiment with some other brand also.
Right.
Then gratefully you guys did justice. तो ये business वालों के लिए भी मैं कहूंगा from the other side if someone is watching कि कस्टमर को आप ऊपर रखो, आप अपना तो करो, बट जस्ट डोंट थिंक कि ये एक ही बार का कस्टमर, थिंक फ्रॉम अ लॉन्गर पर्सपेक्टिव। आप ऐसा सोचो कि अगर वो 10 साल आपके साथ रहेगा तो क्यों रहेगा, गिव देम द रीजन। सो नाउ हैव वेरियस रीजंस। आई डोंट थिंक कि क्या हो रहा है व्हाइल वी आर स्पीकिंग, प्रोबेबली किसी और ने भी ट्रेनिंग अभी ले ली होगी, एंड दैट पर्सन इज स्टडिंग। Another good thing is through the backend I am able to monitor कि बच्चे क्या ज्यादा पढ़ रहे हैं। So now this year when I'm planning to launch any module, I have back of the mind कि मुझे किस एरिया पे ज्यादा वर्क करना है। अच्छा ये एरियाज पे people are getting excited, तो वो करना है। Another thing is there is no limit to the courses which I can put. Currently 3 are live on this thing, 1 bundle and 2 this thing. But now I am planning is कि जो short term courses जिससे मैं बहुत दूर रहा था, मैं वो भी कर सकता हूँ। छोटे छोटे मॉड्यूल डालने हैं, जिसको आना है वो लेगा। Those who can't afford the bigger ones, they can go with smaller. So now what has happened is while I'm sleeping, Teachmore is actually taking care of all this thing. But हाँ, जो लोग देख रहे हैं उनको बता दूं, स्टार्टिंग के 7-8 दिन आपको मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी पूरी, because you have to create the module and put it up over there. So don't just be relaxed कि बस डाल दिया not. And plus for me there was an existing audience base. आप लोगों के पास नहीं है तो आपको पहले बनानी पड़ेगी. So don't just get very casual. But yes, तो बिना पैसे दिए मैंने तारीफ कर दी।
Thank you so much. And so मैं थोड़ा आगे जंप कर गया. I wanted to ask that one question that I ask generally everyone. What is that? Because when you're trying to launch online courses, it's very different from YouTube. It is very different from workshops that you do. There are nuances. And so what was that one moment at any point in time that led to thinking of online courses and then going after it? What convinced you कि online courses ही करना है, and how did you go about it after that? What were specific things you did?
So one specific reason is without even having to commute to a different place, you can actually have a reach to person sitting in Hyderabad, Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, Pune, हर जगह का एक ही साथ वो आके सकते हैं। Online courses have a distinct advantage in the sense it's like you can give your knowledge in a recorded version, and it's not necessary that every time you have to be on your toes. So there are big brands into the edutech region who have given me bomb money, who have offered me bomb money to come, but their condition is that you will take 15 live classes in a month and all. मैंने बोला नहीं, टाइम ही नहीं है ना भाई, टाइम इज मनी। मेरा टाइम तो एक्सपेरिमेंट्स में जा रहा है, मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है। Right. So the thing is to save time, I think online courses plus you are able to do something good. Educating people is a very noble profession. Third, you are able to earn while you are sleeping. If we can't deny, yes, you are earning I am earning money out of it. So any additional Lakshmi is never bad. So that is there. Fourth, for those people who solely think of becoming an educator और ये करना चाहते हैं, you probably don't realize the potential of money which you can make through one single platform at online course. There are people, so for example, Tony Robbins was a motivational speaker, the highest earning and the biggest one. His net worth is close to $700 million or $600 million. Now, if you see 30% of the revenues or 40% of the major revenues is coming through his online courses. And during COVID, it was 80%.
Right.
Because, of course, his
Yeah, of
offline
course.
things had actually had to. मेरे हिसाब से the two triggers were that yes, मैं ज्यादा लोगों को reach कर सकता हूँ. Second, I don't have to be physically be present every time. तो मुझे वो बीच में एक हो गया था कि यार किसी दिन मन भी नहीं कर रहा, लाइव कोर्स अनाउंस कर दिया तो अब लेना ही पड़ेगा. But now online courses, at least you can give back and you can create a huge course out there. You want to create a 40-hour course, create. For example, जो एक हमारा fundamental analysis का course है on Teachmore, I'm going to add more modules to it. It is already, I think, so 16 or 18 hours. I'm going to make it like 25 hours का मैं बनाने का सोच रहा हूँ. Because people are enjoying. Good response for that. And plus, I have got some new ideas based on investing. Horizon also keeps on changing. Climate keeps on changing. So I think कि इस तरह के माहौल में भी मैं बना सकता हूँ. So this is what.
Right. You said everything that we sort of have been pitching around, right? One is the reach that you get is massive. You can't even imagine what the reach is. It's once you get started, it's the gush of people coming and buying. It happens after a while. It takes some time, but it happens. Second is that teachers often are trading time for money. They are going live almost every single time and not recording it. Now, live is not a bad thing per se. It has its place. It has its place. It is personal choice. It has its place. But if you record it, there is and make a product out of it that keeps selling. That switch needs. When you come from a teacher sort of a background, when you just start throughout the journey, this switch needs to happen that, I need to start thinking of this as building out a product, putting a nice cover image, writing the copy well, and so that it sells.
And this is very important. Whatever Deep is saying is very important. I realized lately after the experiments. Yeah.
Right. And so stop trading time for money is what, and then the third is that it allows you to do when you save that time, it allows you to build a lot more products. So you're reinvesting, and that compounding of time, which people don't realize at the moment, but once you get into this online courses journey or building content per se, that compounding of time with making money is a deadly combination. It's like an insane combination. So that's you covered all the aspects of it. Now coming to I have already we've overrun the time, so I'm still going to go. Please tell me when to stop.
Experiment for you. We can have another 5 minutes and
okay.
We are good.
Cool. Okay, so one is what are your learners like? Who currently is your audience, and what resonated with them? You think that keeps bringing them back to you?
So from the age perspective, it's a very wide. So I have someone who is 66, 67,
okay,
who is attending, and then there is someone who is 17 also, 16. 17.
Wow.
So the range is very big, but I feel what resonates with a lot of people is the simplicity with which I'm trying to demystify a lot of these concepts. So when they are going outside, they are finding a lot of jargons which they find difficult to interpret. And second thing is, I believe, at least in the field of finance, see other professions I can't comment, but at least in the field of finance, people vouch or trust someone who has been there, who has done that. In others, so let's take an example. I see a lot of motivational speakers who probably wouldn't have attained a lot in their lives, not trying to put a derogatory remark on anyone, but yes, this is the reality, but yet they are giving motivation to a lot of people. The same people might be very depressed in their houses, but motivation se paisa ban raha hai, so they are trying to do. But here in finance, at least people look up for those people who have done something on their own, whom they have seen कि हाँ इसने trade किया, invest किया, he has gone through those ups and downs. So simplicity is what people actually, and why they come back is probably because for whatever amount they are paying, they're probably getting 2x or 3x the value. That is always my intention, be it through YouTube, be it through anything. So since you mentioned about YouTube, 3 years back itself, I've got the join button. So join button is a specific thing you can keep it. I have not enabled it. Because I feel that until unless I can't give them a something XYZ value, I don't have the right to. People would be ready to pay for that also, join button. But I have never enabled that. Because the day I feel कि हाँ ऐसा कुछ unique हम इधर YouTube पे ये join वालों को दे सकते हैं, then it makes sense. Otherwise, literally it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So that is another one. And this courses wala, I think this is what sums up. Them.
Right. Getting value for what you, and they also expect you to be an expert, sort of have done it and then teaching it. So, so building that expertise by going and doing it. Expertise is not कि किताब से पढ़ लिया और पढ़ा दिया. It is actually going and doing it yourself, and then taking those skills and imparting it. That's the today's creator economy, you know. That is what people say. Creator economy क्या है यही है. It's like you create, you learn something, and then you share your knowledge, and that is what is, in simple words, creator economy. That also can make you a lot of money. Share what you know, and you'll make a lot of money. So that sums up everything. And then at the end of the day, you said online courses made that. It's a cherry on the top, I guess, for you, because you're doing a lot of other things as well. so it was.
As I said, as a trader, this gives us a psychological backing कि चलो भूखे तो नहीं मरेंगे अगर किसी दिन ट्रेडिंग में बहुत बड़ा नुकसान भी हो गया तो we have a backup.
Right. So, it's a stable source of income.
Yeah. So there is something, and moreover, we are not doing any harm. A lot of people, they think why should a person have different professions? Why should he have multiple sources of income? Because every millionaire has. Right. Every rich person has. Mukesh Ambani doesn't have one company. He's running 100 companies. Even some companies are beyond his domain. Like Mukesh Ambani is a mechanical engineer. Retail से क्या लेने देना? He is into retail also. Jio में है, सब में है. The point is, everyone has this thing. So if you are honest to yourself, then don't think about what the world is going to say, because world anyways has to say something or the other about you. Better focus on yourself, and if you have something really great, if you think that you are a good teacher, I think you should definitely come on to online education platforms, because that is the way to go.
Wow. So last couple of things. What is that one moment in life that changed everything for you? What was that one inflection point? Every time there is you see that, oh, यहाँ से फिर गाड़ी आगे गई है और ऊपर ही गई है. So what was that one moment?
There have been many. I mentioned a few in the start. Other could be a college breakup. Post that, I started participating into a lot of events because empty mind is the house of devil.
Right.
So मैंने बोला कहीं तो engage करना है. And I realized कि यार events में जा जाके लोगों से मिलना हो रहा है, conversation हो रही है. I'm winning some events. I used to think very high of. I still feel very high of people who are doing from IITs and IIMs, but I used to feel really high that there must be some exceptional breed of people from some other planet. But when I defeated them into multiple competitions, I was like कि अपन भी बुरे नहीं हैं, मतलब ठीक है कर लेते हैं अपन. So I still remember in IIM Indore, there was a team from IIM Calcutta. So we were the finalists, like पूरा scrutinize होते top 3 में आ गए थे. They became so agitated with this thing judge. By hook or crook they wanted to win, and they couldn't digest that someone coming from a normal college is actually trying to surpass these people. Finally we won, because we also became adamant कि हम तो अब जीत के बताएंगे. Right. That is, I remember कि in the same thing, there was another event where I went with a team. So वहाँ पर भी ये हो गया था कि that was an HR related event, which is not even my domain. We were around on the second position, and there was a senior of mine who was 4 years older than me, also competing on that. She couldn't reach the finals. So for an entire year, she was holding grudge against me. For I don't know why, but she was like, "ये कैसे चलेगा?" And she actually, and then there was an in-house college event after 6-7 months, जहाँ पर उन्होंने अपना गुस्सा निकाला, and she didn't give us any score. बोले इनको तो score नहीं देना. But still, at the end, cumulative of all the events, we won.
Right.
So,
Wow.
so,
It's always a setback, and then you do something, it works out, and then that
yeah,
opens a horizon.
so I wouldn't say all my experiments have worked out really well. Some have miserably failed, but that's fine.
Hmm.
Either you learn, either you evolve and grow. तो वो
Right.
दोनों में से कुछ ना कुछ हो जाता है. तो I don't have this. हाँ, luckily I don't. So since the last 5-6 years at least, I have not taken any such random experiment which would cost me my entire fortune. मतलब
Hmm.
अपन वो मस्त वाली कैटेगरी में नहीं है कि सब डूब रहा है और $200 million बचाने के लिए सब लगा दिया. I don't fall into that category
Hmm.
because थोड़ी sanity है and थोड़ा peace of mind चाहिए. तो I am like कि ठीक है, अगर 200 million हो तो अपन 180 लगा सकते हैं. That is the key. 20 छोड़ देंगे, 180 लगा देंगे.
Right.
So that is the kind of experiments which I can afford. But I particularly, at least for the last 4-5 years, I have created that corpus कि सब चले भी गया तो इतना है कि लाइफ अगले 10-15-20-30 साल तक तो चले जाएगी, खाते पीते ऐसे चले जाएगी. That is what I'm doing.
Right. And to end the conversation, one last thing. The show का नाम है Be More Show. So does Teachmore allow you to be more? And
Of course.
and what are these one or two things you could say that allows you to do a lot more in life?
Okay, so yeah, it does. So Teachmore, anyways, I have given a good this thing. For this, I charge branch, but for you guys, I won't charge.
Thank you.
But to be very honest, yes, Teachmore as a platform is really good. Honest feedback that if you are someone who's looking up for something in the field of training and teaching, specifically on an online platform, you should definitely give them a try. Experiment कर लो भाई, एक बार try करके देखो, ज़्यादा ज़्यादा क्या होगा. You may not like, but my personal opinion is if you are someone who is serious and also if you have some set of audience, even if it is 50. I would say then it would work out because I'm also thinking from a cost time.
Hmm.
So आपके पास 50 का भी एक audience existing है, then the team is very supportive. They will help you out with how you can actually proceed, how you can promote, and how you can do a lot of things. तो वो भी एक चीज हो जाएगी. The and yes, life में हमेशा more experiments करो and more जीवन में हमेशा more के हिसाब से ही आप चीजें ढूंढिए.
Right.
Because at the end, limited life जी के क्या ही फायदा. We just have one life. Most of the people are just living, or most of the people are just surviving. They are not even living. Living करना शुरू करो और live more, teach more, and
Thank,
do more.
thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Abhishek, sir. It was a pleasure talking to you. And it's a privilege also, learning today with you. So thank you. Thank you from the thousands of creators who are on Teachmore today. So it's not just me, it's from all of us. We'll always be there for you in all your future endeavors, always cheering from you on the sidelines and we're just wishing for the next target. I think it should be 1 million next. So
Yeah, that is the target. But I'm not considering it for this financial year. But है,
Yeah.
target तो है वो.
पहुंच ही जाएंगे sir. Thank you.
Experiment करते करते पहुंच जाएंगे.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to end the show now and have a great day, sir. We have had a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Same here. Bye bye.
Bye.